Students, today we will discuss about the drugs used in the treatment of diarrhea. Diarrhea is defined by WHO as 3 or more watery stools in a 24-hour period. Diarrhea occurs due to passage of excess water in feces, and this may be due to decreased electrolyte and water absorption, increased secretion by intestinal mucosa, increased luminal osmotic load, or inflammation of mucosa. These are the reasons for the occurrence of diarrhea. Now we will discuss about the pathophysiology. The osmotic load of luminal contents play an important role in determining the final stool water volume. When non-absorbable solutes are present and in the disaccharide deficiency which occurs during starvation, the stool water is increased. It means when in your lumen the non-absorbable solutes are present in more amount, and when there is deficiency of the enzyme disaccharidase, which generally occurs when you are starving. So in these cases the stool water is increased. Then the inhibition of sodium potassium ATPase and the structural damage to mucosal cell causes diarrhea by reducing the absorption. This is also important that the sodium potassium ATPase, its inhibition, and if there is some structural damage to the mucosal cell. There is a point to note that in ileum and colon the active sodium potassium ATPase mediated salt and water absorption occurs, whereas in jejunum the passive absorption of salt and water occurs, as jejunum is freely permeable to salt and water. So in ileum and colon, if there is inhibition of sodium potassium ATPase, then and there is structural damage to the mucosal cell, then it may cause diarrhea by reducing the absorption of water and salt. Then the intracellular cyclic nucleotides are important regulators of absorptive and secretory processes. Intracellular cyclic nucleotides like CAMP or CGMP. The stimuli enhancing CAMP or CGMP cause the net loss of salt and water. Other than this, there are many bacterial toxins which cause accumulation of CGMP, which stimulates anion secretion and inhibits the sodium absorption, which results in secretory diarrhea. In case of bacterial infections, when the bacteria release toxins, so there are many bacterial toxins which may cause the accumulation of CGMP, and when there will be the accumulation of CGMP, it stimulates the anion secretion and inhibits the sodium ion absorption. It means more water and sodium ion will be secreted. Then we come to the management of diarrhea. There are 3 basic approaches to control diarrhea. First is the treatment of fluid depletion, shock and acidosis. Second is the maintenance of nutrition, and third is the drug therapy. So the first approach, which is the treatment of fluid depletion, means whatever fluid has been whatever is the fluid loss from your body, to recover that fluid loss, we go for rehydration. So the first point is rehydration. Rehydration can be done orally or by the intravenous route. First of all, intravenous rehydration. It is needed only when fluid loss is severe. If the patient is losing more than 10 ml per kg per hour, or the patient is unable to take oral fluids due to weakness or vomiting. The composition of IV fluid should be NaCl 85 millimolar, or it is equivalent to 5 gram. Then KCl equivalent to 13 millimolar or 1 gram, or sodium bicarbonate 48 millimolar or 4 gram. All these should be dissolved in 1 liter of water or 5% glucose solution. Volume equivalent to 10% body weight should be infused over 24 hours if you are giving the intravenous rehydration. Then next is oral rehydration. It is used if the fluid loss is mild. If there is a less fluid loss, then we can go for oral rehydration. If the fluid loss is mild, that is 5 to 7% body weight, or moderate, that is 7.5 to 10% of the body weight. Now this is the new ORS formula. ORS is the oral rehydration solution. In this, sodium chloride 2.6 gram, potassium chloride 1.5 gram, trisodium citrate 2.9 gram, glucose 13.5 gram, and water. All these should be dissolved in water equivalent to 1 liter. And the total osmolarity should be 254 milliosmoles per liter. The patients are encouraged to drink ORS at half to 1 hour interval. Initially, 5 to 7.5% body weight volume equivalent is given in 24 hours. That is 5 ml per kg per hour in children. WHO recommends that all children with acute diarrhea should be given zinc supplement along with ORS. Zinc supplement is also essential with ORS. Now the second approach is nutrition. Patient of diarrhea should not be starved. This is very important. The starvation may cause the severe diarrhea. So the patient of diarrhea should not be starved. This may result in malnutrition. And the simple foods like banana, boiled rice, boiled potato or soup etc. Can be given. Then the third approach is the drug therapy. In drug therapy, 3 types of drugs may be used. First are the specific antimicrobial drugs, second probiotics, and third are the non-specific antidiarrheal drugs. Now the first class is the antimicrobials. Antimicrobials, these are not effective in the non-infective diarrhea or in the mild cases. Antimicrobials are effective only in the case of infective diarrhea. These are not effective in non-infective diarrhea like in the irritable bowel syndrome, pancreatic enzyme deficiency, thyrotoxicosis or rotavirus infection. Antimicrobials are used in severe cases or infective diarrheas like first condition is traveler's diarrhea. This is due to enterotoxigenic E. coli or Campylobacter. Here the drugs or the antimicrobials which can be used are or which are effective are cotrimoxazole, norfloxacin. Then second condition is enteropathogenic E. coli infection. Here the drugs useful are cotrimoxazole or fluoroquinolones. Then third is Shigella enteritis. When it is associated with blood or mucus in stools, then the most effective drugs are ciprofloxacin or norfloxacin. And if the diarrhea occur due to Yersinia enterocolytica, which is common in colder places, then the most effective drug is cotrimoxazole. So in the case of these infective diarrheas, the antimicrobials are useful. Now the second type of drugs are probiotics. Probiotics, actually these are not drugs, these are the supplements. We can also call them healthy bacterial supplements. So these are the microbial cell preparation, either live culture or lyophilized powder that can maintain the healthy gut flora or healthy gut bacteria. Example, lactobacillus, natural curd and yogurt may also be used because these are having the good bacteria, and these good bacteria are helpful in the proper digestion of the food. Now the third class is the non-specific antidiarrheal drugs. In the non-specific antidiarrheal drugs, there are subclasses. The first subclass is absorbents, which includes isabgol, methylcellulose and psyllium. They absorb water and swell, and they change the consistency of the stool, but they do not reduce the water and electrolyte loss. Then second subclass is antisecretory. Example, resicadotril, bismuth subsalicylate, anticholinergics and octreotide. Resicadotril, it is a prodrug and it rapidly is converted to thiourphan. It is an enkephalinase inhibitor, that is, it prevents the degradation of endogenous enkephalins. Enkephalins are the kind of small peptides which may also work as neurotransmitters in our body. It decreases intestinal hypersecretion without affecting the motility. How it works? That it decreases the intestinal hypersecretion, but it does not affect the gut motility. Now third subclass is the anti-motility drugs. Example, diphenoxylate and loperamide. Lopramide, it is an opiate analog, and in addition to anti-motility effect, it also has anti-secretory effect. And because of the poor water solubility, it is very less absorbed from intestine. Its duration of action is longer, that is 12 hours, and adverse effects includes abdominal cramps and rashes. So this is all about the antidiarrheal drugs, and this unit is also completed. Now in the next class we will start the next unit of chemotherapy.